Welcome to the TRICKL, everybody. I hate introducing things, always a bit cringy, but here I am. I'm joined today with Sheldon, good friend of mine, and also top researcher, and he's got his own charity going for him, which he's going to tell you all about. The TRICKL, I started this podcast because I really just want to talk in casual terms about important topics. My topic, I'm a third year PhD student, and I often get wound up about how heavy lingo conversations are in academia. You know, if you give them like a presentation, it's full of terminology, and I often find it very hard to talk about topics in conversation. People ask me what I'm doing, and I'm like, I can't even explain it because I use so many words that are quite unnecessary sometimes. And I guess what I really want to do is just allow information to trickle down, and I just want to give a platform for people to talk as well. Imposter syndrome, it's rife in academia. People feel that they are an imposter in their environment, and they feel that they're a fraud and that they're going to get found out, that they aren't as clever or intelligent as they're expected to be, and that is really something that hangs heavy. It hangs heavy on me, and I know it hangs heavy on a lot of people. So I feel like giving this platform to people and my feedback, like, yeah, your research is amazing, let's talk about it. That's what this is about. So let's start off with Sheldon.
Hello.
How are you today, love?
I'm good. I'm doing good. It's a gorgeous day here in Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sun's out. I got a little bit burnt yesterday. Being a redhead, so I do a little bit. But I'm feeling good. And I'm really excited to be on this. You know, it's. I think you by giving this platform to researchers and academics and, you know, anybody really who is interested in a topic or a subject, to be given a platform where they can break things down into standard terms that doesn't disconnect the listener or disconnect the viewer from, like you say, really theoretical academic language. And I think that's why I'm really excited, to be here.
It's exciting to have you on, and like you even just said, there's such I don't want to just have PhD or master's researchers on. If you're learning about a topic, you're just as entitled to be a master or a professor of your topic as people who end up getting the qualifications. Do you know what I mean? And education isn't just on paper. And I think just giving people a platform to talk about stuff, you might pick a topic and read every single book there is to know on it. I mean, what's the difference between that and doing it in an institution, I suppose?
And, the interesting thing about that is that we all learn differently as well. Yeah. We all learn differently. And I think listening to something like this, I know from a personal experience, listening to something always helps me be more informed, than rather, reading page after page after page. If I can listen to a lecture or if I can listen to a talk like this, then it really just helps it break it down for me, and that's why, it's really...
I think, yeah, totally. And I think when you inject personal experience into stuff, which I work with ethnographic research, so in my thesis I will be able to, I keep a research diary and I will be able to say what I think about stuff in my personal opinion. But in academic papers, not so much in books, you can put some personal opinion in books, but I feel like that's how we learn from people. Like, how do you apply the context to these theories that you talk about? And I guess you embody you yourself what you're proposing at the minute. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about your background and the research you're proposing?
Yeah. So like yourself, I am doing an ethnographic study, and an autoethnographic study as well. So ethnography, yeah.
I just want to say, because there will be some people who don't even know what ethnography is, and I do just want to break that down. So that means when you as the researcher, you immerse yourself into a community or a context to find out about it, and you will replicate acts, behaviours, rituals in that community to really get a sense of it. It's when the researcher immerses themselves. I'm doing ethnography actually, which is where you do it in the digital world. My research is on how environmentalism spreads in digital cultures. So that really works for me. So I just wanted to plug that. Sorry, into
No. That's I was going to do the exact. No, I was going to do the same thing. Because it is really important for that. You know what I mean? I think, and in terms of autoethnography, it's just your own personal experience then, and how that personal experience can be translated into research. So what I'm doing at the moment is it's quite difficult actually, because I am doing an autoethnographic research and into my culture, my community, which is being a showman. So being a showman is what you would class as living within the fairground industry, the fairground people, as you would say. It's amazing because there's so many different, obviously, different communities out there, marginalised communities that often are voiceless and get mixed up, or they get mistaken for other communities. And I think that's something I found personally when growing up in that community, like the hardships and the battle of trying to get your voice heard and stuff like that, and this is like the perfect platform. So I'd love to just give you like a little brief definition that I've just conjured up for you today. So
absolutely go for it.
So there are an estimated 25,000 showmen within the UK. And there's hundreds of fetes and fairs within up and down the country. So before the development of like the amusement fairground that we see now with the large rides and the flashing lights, these fairs were actually based upon trade. So the trading of materials, the trading of spices, the trading of even down to there was entertainment and there were shows, and these go back many years. So really, firstly, the fairground industry can be seen as a staple of British culture and should be viewed as a national heritage site, due to this long history of accommodating these spaces and places only temporarily. So showman is the name given to those people, and they live historically as seasonal nomads. So they would move from place to place, taking the rides, taking the stalls, and even if they're putting on a show, taking the props and costumes and all that. So they would move from place to place. Within the 21st century, they're still very much seen as seasonal nomads. My family, they are actually opening in Blackpool soon, and they will be taking rides there, and they'll be going there and stuff like that. And yeah, it's very much dependent upon the weather as well. But I think it's really important to kind of address the issue of showmen are people within the fairground industry, who are, not tied really to other travelling communities within the 21st century. So may that be gypsy, may that be circus, may that be Romany gypsy. All these different travelling communities have their own cultures and their own heritages, and in their own right, have their own community voices. So yeah.
What difficulties have you faced? Stigma, marginalisation within this community?
So this is the bit that, even now, for some reason, I'm trying to stop myself from saying certain things and do that, and I think that's because I've been brought up to try my hardest to be politically correct with my terminology, so not to offend anybody, within these different communities and stuff like that. So the hardships, I suppose, I would say, starting off from early childhood, really, not understanding why you are different. Why you are different when you go to school. Why people kind of look at you different, or why even teachers have different approaches to the way that they speak to you and stuff like that.
There's that ingrained sort of ignorance there.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because when you're young, you obviously you're not aware of this, you live in it, you know what I mean? Because being a showman is mostly passed down from from family to family to family, although this is not always the case. So when you're in these, when you're brought up in that, it's everybody around you is a showman. Everybody's around you is a showman. Your grandma lives across from you. You go over there and you see her and she tells you your tales of when she went to this place or when she went to that place, and then your auntie and your cousins are all there and they're in the same industry. So it's a real tight-knit community. However, when you go out and you say you're in school and you're growing up and you're mistaken for other traveling backgrounds and stuff like that, it's difficult because if you don't have the emotional capability to explain yourself, you can take that negative energy on. And, it can kind of place you in a box, make you feel embarrassed from where you come from, make you, even angry, make you sad, all these different emotions.
And I know you spoke about the sense of otherness before, and I know that you've worked with alienation. Do you feel like these themes have manifested through your life, and that's why you're so interested in researching them?
Yeah, I think they have definitely manifested from my environmental upbringing, and then looking at it from a research point of view, I kind of love looking at how alienation and how marginalisation and stuff like that not only affects, communities, but affects the individual as well, and so we'll go back to, growing up in that kind of environment. So I think when I first really became conscious of it was when I went to the post office. When I went to the post office, say I was 16, I went to the post office, and for some reason I was panicking a little bit. I was feeling a little bit anxious because I knew that the lady at the counter was going to ask me my address, and there was somebody behind me, and obviously the person who was was serving at the post office, and when she did ask for this address, and I gave her the address, which at the time was my family. They owned an acre of land where they store caravans on there and static chalets and static homes, and keep fairground rides and all these different things. And like my address on the end of it said caravan park. So me saying them words, caravan park, then the lady, like, kind of, she when she got my postcode up, she was like, is this right? Is this right? And just question, like, is this right? It says caravan park. Yes, that's right. But you kind of became aware then, like, is this right? That's just a really, loaded question. Like, is this right? Yes. I hope so. I hope so. Like, sorry. I hope so. That's where I lived last time I checked. One of those.
It's like taking away your legitimacy as a human. Like, saying, are you sure this is right? Are you meant to be in a post office? Like,
yeah, it's just so. Yeah, and then like you with that, then kind of comes the embarrassment of the person behind you hearing that, and then them having their own opinions of that. And I think that it's great at the moment because I feel like in society we're becoming hyper aware of all different cultures, different people. However, I think that we are a product of our environment, and when we are told, don't go near that caravan site or something like that when you're young, that sticks with you, and then you kind of then really, it takes a life of its own, in its own way. So yeah, that's when I first kind of recognised, like, it's a different way of life from an actual being conscious of that kind of point of view and conscious of the marginalisation. I mean, I'd suffered from it for years and years before, but you kind of just, you roll with it, and you don't know how to emotionally kind of accept it or whatever.
Very unconscious of things that were happening, and it's almost in retrospect you're like, shit, yeah.
Well, yeah. So that was, kind of my past and my upbringing. I would like to just say that, being part of that community, like any community, has its upsides and has its downsides. Firstly, its amazing sides is that there are events and there are, happenings and different, like even football and all these different activities that the community would do as a whole. So I know people from Scotland, I know people from Wales. I could go all up and down the country and have somewhere to stay if I wanted to. The Showmen is actually has different governing bodies. So the Showmen's Guild of Great Britain is one of those governing bodies, and that breaks. Like, it's broken down into different sections or different councils throughout the country. And these sections and these councils, they obviously have rules and regulations, especially when it comes down to rides, making sure everything's tested, health and safety and all this kind of thing. But it also, helps the showman, maybe get a fairground in a certain location, although that's not always the case. So these governing bodies have these different rules and regulations, but because it is sectioned off like that, each section has different, like I say, like football teams, different events. So there's the Hoppings Fair in Newcastle. There's a large like 3-day events there, nightclubs and all different parties and stuff like that. when there's Nottingham goose fur, which is yeah. So that's a really old charter fur, yeah. That's a really old fur in the heart of Nottingham, and it's there's events there and stuff.
You seem really proud when you're talking about this stuff. Like there is that pride in there.
Yeah,
It's your identity, isn't it?
Of course,
yeah.
Of course. As much as we try to detach ourselves from this concept of identity and having an identity and having a place or a space that like we attribute to ourselves and attribute value and stuff like that. I think it is important as well that you should appreciate where you come from and your background. If that is sort of place that has been of hardship, how you have learnt from that experience and stuff like that. If that is a place that is, been absolutely amazing, like how that has made you the person you are today, and being like kind of conscious of that. But yeah.
So what was your entrance into the higher education system like? Did you face any marginalisation in that way?
I'd say a little bit. A little bit. I once got told, that I was on a list of people that may need extra help because basically of where they come from. So, yeah, from that point of view, but also from the point of view of...
Do you think they're doing you a favour with that stuff and they're just slapping you in the face? Like,
no, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. And it's postcodes and stuff like that, isn't it? And also I think even in higher education, I don't think this actual knowledge of Showmen is present, really. And I think this is really why this research that I'm doing now is really, needed, first and foremost, but also in this current time, in this current climate where the fairground industry has been placed, basically on hold, and in a state of stillness, a sedentary status for the last 12 months, for the first time in its history, because even during the war, they used to have fairgrounds, and they used to put like big tents over the top of them to keep all the noise and the lights and stuff like that, all kind of enclosed, so nobody could see, that there was mass amounts of people there. So even my grandma said, this is worse than the wartime, yeah. So
which leads to the setting up of some Showmen's mental health charity.
Yes, yeah. So the research, first and foremost, will be to try and give an ethnographic understanding of Showmen, an ethnographic understanding of my own experience, but also to display how the fairground industry has been affected in the last 12 months and how there's been a major shift of consciousness within the fairground industry during this time. And one of these things that has come out from that is on January the 22nd, I actually know the date. Surprising, because I sometimes forget my own name, but yeah. On January the 22nd, I phoned 8 of my friends, and I basically told them how I wanted to start a Showmen's mental health charity, because the concept of mental health, even as a topic, is fundamentally within the community, a difficult conversation. It's a difficult conversation to have, because what you've got to put into what you've got to put into place here is knowing that, because it is such a close-knit community, and I do know people from up and down the country, or all over, even even Ireland as well, and and we know Showmen from Australia and America as well, so it can be global. Specifically within the UK, it can be a difficult conversation to have, because everybody does know, if you are struggling, that might get passed on to somebody else, and that might get passed on to somebody else, and then it can be a great thing knowing all these people, but it can also be a hindrance when it comes down to mental health. So because it could affect your business in a way. It could affect your business, because what you've got to kind of understand as well is that this isn't just a community and a lifestyle, it's an industry. It's a service industry and an entertainment industry. So yeah, I phoned around my friends, and I had the idea of doing a Showman's mental health charity, because I know a few of my friends have struggled. Myself, I've struggled with anxiety and depression, and also we've had some losses in the community. We've had some losses in the community due to mental health and suicide, which is heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking, and that's kind of the moment where I kick myself, because I had this idea to do this charity a year ago. I had this idea to do this charity a year ago, and at that time I didn't myself have the actual energy, the actual kind of motivation, and really the correct self-esteem to be able to be confident enough to put this out there, because it is such a large community. But yeah, so I phoned around my friends, and I said, I want to do the Showman's mental health charity. Will you get on board? Will you support? Or is this even a good idea? And I was overwhelmed really by the support. Some of the conversations I had were absolutely amazing. Really changed my perspective on different things as well.
Do you think you sort of embodied the stigma a little bit and didn't want to speak out about this idea because of the way it would be perceived, but it was actually welcomed?
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's always the way, isn't it? Where I don't want to tell anyone about this, they'll think I am. But it's never the way we perceive it in our minds.
No, and that is really important thing, isn't it? That most of the time that we generate these, anxiety itself, either we shoot to the past and let the past hold us back and, remember things and stuff like that. And we have all made mistakes, we've all been on nights out and made fools of ourselves and all this kind of thing. Or the mind shoots to the future, and, gives you imaginary scenarios. What if I did this and it wasn't well received? What if I was laughed at? What if the worst came to the worst, and people kind of said, you're an idiot, and that anxiety that we all kind of, have daily, trying to stay centered and trying to live within the moment, but also understand the mind from the perspective of, that's what it does. It shoots forward and it shoots,
and takes away the present moment. Fundamentally, yeah. I mean, yeah, where do you live most of the time? The past or the present?
Oh, like we were talking about.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe the past. I don't know.
Yeah.
I suppose like the more time you take out to understand and forgive as well, the dwelling on the past seems to go away.
Yeah.
Forgiveness of the self, forgiveness of other people.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, self-forgiveness and learning as well. Like you're constantly learning and stuff like that, but not holding stuff that might not serve you anymore. You know, I think we all kind of have a tendency to do that. I'm speaking like everybody's the same. We're all. No, yeah. This is just my opinion.
It's experience though, and actually, I think when you speak really raw about experience, and you're like, oh yeah, I was a dickhead in the past, but I've forgiven myself for it. It's the shadow self, really, isn't it? And people avoid talking about that because the ego mindset wants to always believe it's right. Cognitive dissonance. I didn't do that. I didn't, inflict X, Y, and Z, or I don't know what you've done. But that ego mindset like stops us from sitting with past experience, which might be very difficult. But when we actually do that, we set ourselves free, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you from that point, definitely, because it's really difficult to sit with emotions that have kind of been there for a long time, and thoughts and feelings that have been there for a long time, and you kind of like, that when it pops up in your mind, like, there it is again, there's that time, and it is really, transformative to be able to sit with moments like that and go, there it is. I wonder why that is, that's why.
Even inviting it in.
Yeah.
I can handle this. I invite this discomfort. I can sit with it and it'll pass. I think that gets us out of the mindset of thinking that we always have to be happy all the time as well. Being present, it's tough. It's bloody tough.
It is tough. It is tough. But the human is meant to suffer. We are like animals and in our own right, really, and suffering is a part of our consciousness and stuff like that, the human condition. And it's learning how to deal with the suffering, it's really important.
Yeah. If we suffer but we deal with it as well, that sort of implicates that it isn't just one lens that we're looking at. It's almost like there's a person that suffers, but there's almost like I believe that a higher self that can look at this stuff and accept the suffering. I think when we try and run away from it, or we get we get stuck on anxiety, especially when we're just dwelling and thinking about the future excessively. If we get lost in that, and it's, I don't know where I'm going with it, but I can sense it in my mind when I'm thinking of it. We suffer, but there's also that higher acceptance of suffering.
Yeah, and it's kind of there is an acceptance of.
I mean, I just think it would be so. We all suffer. Like, let's suffer. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's just being accepting of negative emotions. Like, I'm just being like, yeah, it fucking happens.
Of course, and we don't always wake up with a smile on our face, and that's the truth. That's the truth, and like you said, accepting it as a culture as well. I think sometimes we can, kind of put on faces and we can put on masks to kind of fit in and to be accepted, and nobody wants to be a Debbie Downer or something like that. I think having that acceptance, like you're saying, and being able to go right as well, which is really important. That thoughts, are thoughts, and you can choose, like we're saying, to take that thought and to shoot to the past with that thought, or to shoot to the future with that thought, or you can recognize it as just a thought.
Yeah, I think what I was getting at is denial. I think when you deny, that's repression, isn't it? And it's like, ugh, it just gets so much worse.
Yeah.
Welcome suffering. If you take anything away from today, it's to welcome suffering.
Yeah.
Only if you can handle. I mean, there's ways that you can hijack. Like you say, you can wake up and have a bad day. There's ways that you can hijack it so it's more manageable.
Of course.
We did breath work. Like before this, we calmed our nervous system down.
Yeah, and
it doesn't take the nervousness away, but it just makes it more manageable.
No, I agree. And like I said, even now, still, like, because this is an alien concept as well, like, that we're here talking. Like, I know it's so natural and it's so amazing that we can have this platform to just talk, you know what I mean? But once you put a microphone in front of you, and a camera, you kind of you zoom in and I, like I did for the first half an hour of this, like kind of want to get everything out that I want to get out, and then being able to settle down. And I think like us having that conversation then, about how the mind kind of overruns and wants to leap forward and leap ahead, it can come out in our speech as well.
Absolutely. So the charity, which is, you've obviously built foundations in yourself to get this on, to put the wheels in motion on the charity. And I smile when I start thinking about it. Do you want to tell me about how successful it's been? Because you've done well.
It's been amazing. So when I initially phoned these people, we set up a Facebook page, and then from that we kind of all created videos talking about our own experiences and kind of giving our own perspective on things, our personal opinions on how how suffering can be eased, how these things can be overcome and stuff.
How did the Showmen respond to getting involved with the charity?
So this is the absolutely amazing thing about the community, is that once something like this happens, the support and the shift of consciousness that can happen is just so magical. It's just so magical. The support was overwhelming. We was getting videos from all up and down the country. We have over 4,000 followers. The videos and engagements of the page, into like the 100,000s. It's really, really been overwhelming. But not only that, the acceptance of it as well. The acceptance going, talking about it from a showman perspective, going, oh yeah, I struggled for years, and I went to this fair and I struggled,
Probably breaking the ice in that community. There's probably been so many voices that have been repressed for so long, and then it's like domino effect, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's been amazing. And, the exciting thing is, we've sent off the application for the Charity Commission. Hopefully we'll be a registered charity shortly. And, there's so many different things in the pipeline that I'm really going to be excited to announce soon for the charity. And not only that, the research, we really want to build the charity on personable research, and this research will then inform how the charity is perceived. So it's even to statistics. Say, it's 1 in 5 people who suffer with mental health. Or I think the number's 1 in 4.
Is that figure unisex?
Yeah. I think it might be even. My personal opinion, it's higher than that. I might even be getting that figure wrong.
Well, that's people willing to admit it to a statistical body as well.
Of course. And my idea is, if we didn't just have 1 in 4 people, what if we had statistics like 1 in 4 showmen or 1 in 10 showmen? it kind of breaks that barrier down as well within the community, going, oh, like we're a family of 4 and one of us are going to suffer, with this. And then it becomes even wider accepted because, at the moment it's just been such, like you say, a domino effect where people have come forward and talked about all these different experiences and how they've dealt with them, and from therapy to getting out there and being active to taking medication. So all these different scopes that people have talked about.
And how much money have you raised for the charity so far?
So we're upwards now of 20 to 30,000 now. So it's
What the hell?
It's amazing.
Wait, you started this in December?
In January.
January.
Yeah.
And in 4 months you've made.
Yeah.
And you're in the process of registering it as an official charity. And
yeah. So it's. I know it's
so exciting though, isn't it? Like I know. I knew the answer to how much he's raised. By the way, I wasn't asking like a genuine question. I just wanted the audience to know. But that shocked me when you told me that you can, the change that you can make with that amount of money. So what sort of services are you going to be offering?
So this is the really exciting part. Firstly, we're going to be putting together a bespoke Showman's mental health guidebook. And that will be going out to every showman within the UK and Ireland. And secondly, we will be having a crisis management fund. So for anybody struggling right now that needs help, and also, the family, because you have got to put into perspective as well, if you are suffering, that can affect your family as well, because they love and support you and stuff like that. So the Crisis Management Fund will also kind of engage with a counselling service. So what we want to do is get people set up with counsellors and therapists that have aligned themselves with the charity, and we want to fund that for them. Up to like 10 sessions of therapy we want to offer to, somebody who's come forward as well. And then what else we want to do is build a network, build a community of people who talk about this openly. And we also really, this is so much, Anna. We also want to put...
This is amazing.
Well
done to you as well, just starting it like on your own. I mean,
no, it wasn't on my own. I did get a lot of help. I got a lot of help. It might have been
I mean, everything's a co-creative process, but you were the driving force, which is amazing.
It's hard sometimes for me to, kind of go, pat yourself on the back, because there's so much to do.
Pat yourself on the back anyway. I think, like, I don't know, you ever have those years where you reflect on a year and you're like, oh, I actually did a lot for myself, but at the time you never give yourself that recognition. It's so hard to recognise ourselves, I feel.
Of course, yeah, of course. It is. And
you're a busy man. I mean, you've got your proposal coming up, and I mean, I'm thinking about time as well. I'd definitely like to talk about some of your past research that you've been involved with, because you've researched in men's prisons. You have researched social media and alienation, which, I mean, we're all alienated
and
in some form by using these apps on our phones, which are just an extension of our hands now.
Yeah, I'll go into some of that research for you if you want.
I mean, let's just have a conversation about it, because it's not even the research side of it. I feel like even as a topic, alienation and social media, like, that will relate to probably everybody listening to this, even whether they're conscious of it or unconscious of it. Like, it's people's goals now. Like, people set goals to limit the time on these things. something in our brain says yes, but actually it's not always healthy for us, is it?
No, it's not. And to start a mental health charity on on a social media platform, it's difficult as well. That's why we want to do stuff out in the field as well.
It's been limited though because of the past year.
Of course.
That's something that one of the struggles that I study with social media is because I'm looking at activism and how people use digital tech to promote that. It's needed. It's needed for mobilisation, but also there becomes a limit where it does put limitations on the type of activism that we do, and whether it's for visibility or identity. I imagine in a similar way, starting off a mental health charity online, you've got to be very careful about.
Yeah, careful about everything really. What you post, what you comment, what you say, all that stuff. From the standpoint of the charity as well, just so I get it out there, we will be putting on events as well. We will be putting on events specifically aimed at showman's mental health and inviting different people and stuff like that. And any showman out there that is struggling, we are you can message into the Facebook page, and it's all private and confidential, and nothing will ever be shared with anybody. And in terms of social media, oh my god, this is such a loaded topic, isn't it?
I could talk all day about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm currently on an hour timer, and then I'm constantly ignore, and then I'm I need to do something for work because netnography I have to look at online, but I'm not. I'm looking at, I don't know, the opening times of restaurants and their menus, and then I'll go, I'll look at the menu.
I love that.
It's it doesn't end. No. If I looked at my explore page as well, it's some odd things on there, but I get sucked in.
Yeah, no, it's difficult because on one hand we have all this, positivity with social media, building communities, being able to contact people from all across the globe, being able to instant message somebody, being able to put a status out there that could inspire people, being able to create even we've done with a charity, create pages for, community initiatives. And not only that, being able to just have your friend and tag your friend on Facebook is nice, you know what I mean? However, then comes the negative, Do
you ever get those reminders on Facebook about what you were posting years ago?
Yeah.
Mine are insane. I don't even...
I know, I've seen you reposting,
I post them all the time because it's so weird. I've got a few fans of people who are you were doing what 10 years ago?
It is amazing to see some of the stuff that you repost, because it's hilarious, because I know you now, and I didn't know that person then.
She's still in there somewhere, talking about, I don't know what. It's is eating apples, who wants to know about it? And then I'd like it myself.
Yeah.
I need to put them down back in those days.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That's
no, but that's what we were talking about before, staying, not being present and staying in the past. I have to stay in the past. Facebook's reminding me of what I was doing 10 years ago, every single day, and it's pretty funny, but...
that's a powerful thought.
But it is, and I think about, if without social media in an ideal, maybe not ideal world, if we just lived our lives fleetingly and every moment passes and we never get it back, and maybe we would be more present. But now there's this snapshot of everyday life which we accumulate on profiles, and I mean, you're going back and deleting stuff because you're that doesn't resonate with me now, and it's this cyberspace version of yourself where the past is always present because it only takes one person to follow you. Scroll back down to whatever days, employers, for example,
Yeah.
Like,
no, I get it. It's an absolute minefield, isn't it? Because, like I said, then you have the negative side of it, which, you know, you have the cyberbullying, you have the constant comparison, you have the you know, the likes and the comments and these different things that we attribute value and give our self-esteem, like, you know, kind of a boost, or it can bring us down, strip us down, you know. And then we have, you know, stuff from editing our own bodies and editing our own skin tone. I mean, I've done it so many times, like, you know...
I was going to get Craig to edit your face today if you were some bits.
Yeah. This is it, you know, especially being, you know, being ginger, like, I, you know, kind of, my complexion can change daily, you know what I mean? Especially if I go to the gym.
So what do you do? Do you, like, put filters on and stuff?
I mean...
Is it like those ones on, like, Instagram story where you scroll?
Well, this is it. I'm really, really trying to be mindful of not doing that now. Like, because even that itself creates this false perception of your image, of your reality and stuff like that. And I think this is the real harmful moment, the real harmful point that we have to put across is them things might seem minuscule. However, from the outsider, you know, looking in, you then, you know, seem perfect in a way. You know, it's this concept of perfection, and social media drives that so much. You know, this concept of being perfect and not showing, you know, the scars, lumps and bumps of reality, you know, in a sense. And this has been something like age old, you know, even like the Greeks, you know, statues used to be different body parts from different things, you know. You're looking at Da Vinci and the Vitruvian Man, like the perfect model of a human, like looking at, you know, how we are symmetrical and all these different things. And it's really, really... you know, funny, because now we're talking about it and I'm going, yeah, but I do it myself, like, you know, and it's hard not to, because we've been, you know, kind of
put a little black and white on. That's it though, isn't it? That's like
yeah. Well, we've been conditioned, haven't we? Yeah. We have been conditioned, and that is the harrowing reality, like I say, of social media, is because it does have this kind of balance of, oh my God, it's doing so much great, look at all this, look at stuff, people are commenting, people are whatever, I feel great, wow. And then the other side of, oh, I just got unfollowed by somebody and like this hasn't performed as good as I would have liked it to, and you know, this, it's just so weird, because how that affects your mental health, you know, can, you know, sometimes make it or break it.
Yeah. And we have a generation of young adults who can't tell the difference. I feel like they're so in this reality that it's hard for them to even think about this stuff critically. Mm-hmm. You know, what a privilege it is to sit here and be like, oh yeah, we do it, but it's not great. It's like, that's an awareness. There's like, I don't know, and it is conditioning. It's nobody's fault. It's bodies of institutions. I would blame them, the media and whatnot, but it's nobody's fault for turning to these things.
No, it's not, because you also then suffer from, you know, fear of missing out if you're not on it, you know.
Have you deleted it at any
point?
point?
Yeah. I did. To be honest, I only got I only got Instagram back recently because of like the charity and sharing and promoting stuff. And before that, I didn't have it for 4 months. And you know what? I didn't miss it. One bit. You know,
I had like a broken phone before and being like completely off for like a week, and it was just bliss. It's just bliss. I can control myself now, and I do, especially winding down from bed and stuff. Like I turn it off, and I'm not as active in like group chats and stuff, because I think it's so nourishing when you see people. I mean, who knows? I'm going to see loads of my friends, and you do have to keep up with certain things, but it's nourishing when you see that person and you've got a whole world of stuff to tell them, rather than it's just like, yeah. I missed the sign. 5 minutes left. We've got to wrap up.
Yeah. Listen, thank you. And firstly, I should say this is nearly lastly, isn't it? Congratulations for just doing this yourself, and having this initiative yourself of giving people a voice, giving students a voice, giving academics a voice, to break things down, and to not have to constantly, theorize everything like we're saying. Well done to you, and I'm excited for you, because this is going to be the start of a project that I'm sure will inspire you as well.
Thanks so much. That's really nice. And like I was saying about you and the charity, and you've built yourself up. So, some people might view this and be like, I could never speak in front of cameras. I could never do this. I have been in those places, like, not even that long ago. You can set yourself free in some ways, and it, I don't know. I would never have thought that I would be like filming and talking a year ago, but now it just feels so good. Yeah, it feels good.
No, and I think that we're all kind of on this journey of personal growth, aren't we? We're all trying to kind of become better versions of ourselves, and
hopefully, yeah. Maybe not in the Instagram way, like just adding, like, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I would say so. I do want to end, and because I am such a big advocate of well-being, and I'm a wellbeing ambassador at my institution, and that's for research students, and I see a lot of research students who make this type of thing research, and the quest for knowledge their life, and switching off is hard, but it's a creative endeavour, really. Seeking out information, it's creative, and the creative juices run dry when we don't take a break. So I just want to finish. I'll probably ask this question to all guests. Probably it's like, what do you do to switch off?
Firstly, I do stuff like we did before, and do some breathing. Oh my God, breath work is amazing. Like, if you ever are feeling anxious, if you ever are feeling low, or if you ever having a really bad day, if you give yourself 10 minutes just to breathe. Yeah, Wim Hof, a lot of people can attribute breath work with meditation. Meditating is just basically breathing, and the problem is people are like, I don't want to meditate, I don't know how to meditate. Do you know how to breathe?
It's like take away the shallow breaths, breathe a bit deeper. You can get your brain into some pretty wacky states.
Of course. So firstly, breath work and meditation, and then I enjoy yoga. I'm a yoga practitioner, and I really love that relationship to body and mind that you get with yoga. I love a bath.
I like a bath, yeah. Just throw anything in it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You get the muscle relaxing salts and stuff. And reading for me. Yeah. I if I'm really can switch off and read. That's really relaxing for me, and But then again,
everyone's got their own thing.
Of course they have. So even sitting down and watching something, having a cup of tea, and just being involved in that, that also helps me relax.
Whatever you're doing, do it 100% if you are sitting there having a cup of tea, taking the day in, switch that phone off,
Yeah.
and bloody enjoy that cup of tea. So
Of course.
yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. I just want to say thank you as well for coming on and being the first guest, and agreeing to share your story and research, and just set the bar really. That's it. I don't want to talk about these topics with too much terminology. Just want to have a conversation. So yeah.
Oh, thank you, and best of luck for the rest of your episodes.
And thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
You're welcome.